This is my own definition of KPO, and other outsourcing companies may have their own and a different view on the matter. But for me, this is what KPO is all about. And I will just read this. So, knowledge is the expertise and wisdom that makes a business unique in its marketplace. So here we're dealing with the skills and knowledge invested in the employees, the expert employees within a business, such as the engineers and geoscientists and so forth. Process, meaning the way in which this specialist knowledge is applied to obtain and handle data within the business to create wealth. Again, we're not dealing with invoices and expenses actually in this particular case, so much as the key data assets of the business. Outsourcing is the availing of external human and technological resources, importantly, to do the same processes for financial and strategic gain. And here's a little picture I drew. On the left-hand side, you have an internal business process within a company. So this is something that's already going on. Using the illustration of the case that I explained earlier, we can say that at the top of the process there is the sale of the bit to a customer, and at the bottom is the use of the performance data of that bit down the well, informing operational decisions, research and development and so on. So there is a process where starting with the bit and ending with important processes within the company to grow and develop the business. And all that's happened is that the technical capture exercise that I described has been pulled to one side and given to a different team as an outsourced task. The outsourced task is underpinned with documentation, so contractual arrangements, service level agreements, procedure manuals and technical specifications. And the relationship is also managed by a team in the outsourced company dealing directly with the expert team within the business, representing the original business, to make sure that over time the service continues to provide what it's meant to do and that quality remains up and so on and so forth. As for the talent pool, it isn't always the case that the outsourcing vendor has a bigger pool of talent to call on, but that can be the case, certainly when expertise of a particular kind is difficult to find or recruit or keep hold of within the business's own region. Talk in the petroleum industry covers familiar challenges to businesses like the ones listed here. If businesses want to address some of these challenges, they can call on various solutions, of which one is KPO. KPO doesn't directly solve problems like this, but it does have an impact, a significant impact, on operational costs for processes and agility, so the ability to do more things, the ability to do new things, and so on. So very significantly, it releases time for the in-house experts to do more of what drives the business forward, which could include, clearly, attacking these issues head-on. So I want to offer some KPO scenarios that more directly attack industry issues that may be familiar to people in this audience. Certainly, around the world, there are lots of paper documents still stored away, historical material that is still of value today. And somebody might say, I need to make this shed load, that's a figurative or an actual shed, paperwork from the 1960s more accessible to get a better picture of the play we're about to explore. And from a KPO perspective, this can be handled using large format image scanning coupled to an indexing team of, it says geophysicists, or geologists, but it need not be. What we're saying is that this could be a team of people of the relevant caliber who are capable of understanding the documentation and understanding the indexing scheme that is the output of the process. An engineer might say, I spend half my time pulling together data from various sources before I can even start to do my job. Actually, an engineer has said this to me. And The natural answer or solution to this is to get a research assistant. But these days, it doesn't actually have to be somebody sitting next to you. It can be somebody sitting in a completely different country, because the communications tools that we have available these days are not prohibitive. So the remote, as it were, research assistant is able to get access, remote secure access, to the sources that the engineer is interested in. They're able to communicate with the engineer, and the engineer is actually able to train them. So once this has been done, then the engineer will start to reap the benefits, both in terms of the cost of help and also perhaps in when the help is done, because clearly the work done by the research assistant could be done overnight, so that the engineer can spend a full day working with the data the next day. This is actually just a general expression of the case that I mentioned at the beginning. So we get this information from the field every day, given to us in files we can't use. So we have to capture it manually into our system. And what KPO provides, and provides in that particular instance, is an industry-grounded team of trained data capturers who understand the documents, understand the system that they're using, and the requirements. Something a little bit different, and speaking to the big data issue, if you like, if only we could put these data sets, multiple data sets, into a pot and find data relationships to help us assess risk in our next project. So this is to do with analytics and data discovery, and this, of course, can be supported by third parties in a KPO situation, both initially from the point of view of cleansing data in preparation for analytical exercises, even in collecting it, that is to say, digitizing it in the first instance. But importantly, it can also support the analytical project itself, and there are some benefits to using a third party for this, because the results of the exercise are not prejudiced by the expectations of the experts in the house, who know what the data is going to tell them in advance of it actually doing so. Well, that's not the case if it's done properly.